Hey, hi everyone, how you doing? I hope everybody's well. Obviously, our weekly check-in here with my good friend James Vanreusel, CEO, founder of Vanreusel Ventures. And again, I'd like to thank everybody for the questions that they send in. This is our chance to pick James's brains on a weekly basis. And I've got a good one here. Actually, it's coming from a follower, Maria from Austin in Texas. Great place there. And the question is for you today, James, which I'm sure is a relatively short answer, but no less compelling, is what percentage of health insurance premiums are paid by an employer? Obviously, from a UK-based company, James, we don't have this in the UK, but I'd be interested to know your answer anyway.
Yeah. So it really depends what you want to pay. And it depends by state as well. I think there are some states that dictate how, a minimum percentage. But I think in general, most companies, and it depends on the level of benefits that you want to provide. And that, of course, ties into your culture that you want to have at work. Most companies will pay 100% of the employee. And then the question is, will they pay the spouse and the and any dependents? So if it's a family of four, does it get paid 100% for everyone? Is it 100% for the employee and 50% for the spouse and dependents? I think it really depends on the culture you want to have at the company. I think if you have an executive management team, you might want to pay more for them if you're trying to attract them, and this might get negotiated. But I think being standardized across the board is probably the best because everybody talks to everybody else and might not be too happy if they get less than other people. But in general, my point of view is the more you can provide, the better. I think especially in San Francisco, where if you're competing with the likes of Apple and Google and LinkedIn, they're always going to be able to pay a higher salary than you can. But you can make that up by having a good culture, by having more flexibility, better benefits. And so I think when you look at the total compensation, it's a weighty factor to add into the total comp that you want to provide your staff.
James, it must be a huge draw for some of the best talent as well, James. A way to get, as you say, to punch above your weight when you're comparing. You mentioned some of the massive companies there that you guys compete with in San Francisco and the Bay Area where you're from. So, but it must be a huge draw to be able to offer that level of, health insurance. If so, the more, I guess, as you said, the more you do, the better talent you could attract. Is that about right?
Yep. Yeah, and I think it also depends on how does the talent weigh healthcare benefits. That's a big one as well.
James, you mentioned there about obviously paying different levels for different levels within the organization. From the UK, obviously, this is really interesting to me. Or, for a large company that you deal with, I know you deal with companies of all different shapes and sizes, all different sectors. Not for profit, for profit. What kind of percentage of their revenues do they put aside for health premiums in the US?
The health premiums. I'd have to calculate it. I'd have to look at it. But healthcare is very expensive here, so it is quite substantial. But typically, when you look at what they call the fringe benefit rate, so what is the percentage of benefits as a percentage of salary, you will probably get high 20s, somewhere in the 20% range. If you work at a large university, it can go as high as 50% when you add in retirement and all the benefits that are offered. So, who you want to attract, it really depends on the package you want to offer.
Interesting. As always, James, thanks so much for your time. I know that you encourage people to send questions in so we can keep the Q&A obviously interesting and relevant. They can get in touch with you at the usual spots: social media, website, vanreuselventures.com, and obviously your direct email as well. If you could let us know what that is as well.
James at vanreuselventures.com. And I read all my emails and will respond.
Thanks, James. Thanks for your time again.
Okay. Thanks, Steve. Pleasure as always.
Great stuff, James.